Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Final Fantasy VII walkthrough. We are finally heading on into the final dungeon. It's important to know that you can actually exit as long as you don't go too far into the final dungeon. And that's actually, I don't know, kind of useful information to know. I think that there's some stuff in here that's kind of worth, kind of heading in to obtain, and can kind of actually help you with some of the optional bosses like Ruby Weapon and Emerald Weapon. So, with that being said, we're going to head on in. I will try to do my best to talk about the route I took and the reasons for doing so. Here in the first treasure chest, you notice there is the save crystal. Now that is a I'm going to use the term one-time use loosely because there is a little bit of a bug involving the save crystal, which kind of lets you duplicate it. So I will go over that as well. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be in this video, or if it'll end up being the next one. But we'll see. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But that being said, there's a lot of enemy skills to learn here, so I would suggest, equipping some, if not all, of your enemy skill materials. There's quite a few enemies that have some really cool stuff. Just remember, so we've got 4 enemy skill materials at this point. I am trying to learn all of the enemy skills on all of the different materials, so unfortunately, though, it can get a little complicated when you're dealing with enemy skills that you've already learned on one of them. Now, it's not as big of a deal if you're spreading, or if one character has one, the other character has one, and then your third character has 2 of them. Generally what you want to do is that final character that's got both of them equipped, you'll want to have the same enemy skills learned, and so just kind of setting that up might be a good idea beforehand, before you really even come in here, or if you know what you need. Maybe it's not as big of a deal, but anyways, long story short, there's, like I said, there's a lot of them that are learnable in here, so it might be a good idea to equip that. As well, there's a really good spot for AP farming in here. Now, I already did a little bit of a guide on that. It was very brief, but just know that, and it's a little ways in here yet, but it's a really good spot to build up your materia. Now, keep in mind, you actually can leave, again, I actually mentioned that a little bit earlier, but you can actually leave this place once you jump in, so don't worry about that too much. If you're planning on, defeating the 2 ultra bosses and you want a little bit of a leg up, you can just come in here, do a little bit of AP farming, and then leave. The dragon here is actually one of the enemies that's got some enemy skills. Now, it's got Dragon Force as well as Laser. I believe Dragon Force increases your magic defense, I believe. I don't know if it's I don't think it's like a barrier, like Big Guard. I don't think it activates like a shield type barrier, but again, I believe it does increase your magic defense, so whether or not you actually find that useful, up to you. I'm sure there's probably some battles where we could put that to good use. Other than that, the Dark Dragon also has the Laser enemy skill, which I actually find incredibly useful if you're going to be doing any source farming. So, again, pretty useful ability there. Now, for this spot, I went to the left first. To be honest, I don't know if these treasure chests are really worth getting on the way down. Oh, and there's a kind of a hidden HP absorbed materia. Not the only one that we've got of those, but interesting or useful, or semi-useful anyway, regardless. But basically this screen is divided into 2 different spots, or 2 different sides. The right side is a one-way path, whereas the left side is a 2-way path. So, to be honest, especially if you're planning on leaving, you can go down the right side first, on your way down, and then if you're, again, if you're planning on exiting, you can take the left path up, so you don't have to do any backtracking. But as far as guide or for walkthrough purposes, I am going to try to, I believe, get all of the treasure chests, kind of on the in one trip, I guess I'd say. So unfortunately here I will have to do a little bit of backtracking, but that's not the end of the world, I guess. We'll see where I think the next treasure chest is down here a little ways. If you notice, I'm getting prompted to climb back up. Yeah, you see the little blue box pop up. Alright, so this should be it. Magic source, alright. So sources at this point, I don't know. It's up to you whether or not you think that those are really worth getting in your initial trip down. I really don't feel like it is, but again, completely your choice. So the enemies here, or as far as the enemies, the gargoyles are extremely annoying. I absolutely hate these things. So you can hit them, and you can't do any damage to them until they kind of activate or wake up. And then once you wake them up, or once they wake up, they will attack you and become vulnerable to damage. So not the end of the world, but they're just annoying. I find them incredibly annoying. But all right, so let's climb back up here, and then we'll head down the right side and get the rest of the treasures that we have not obtained yet. One more thing on the Dark Dragon I forgot to mention. It does have the dragon armlet. I don't remember, but I feel like we've already got a bunch of those. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I already had one. At least one, anyway. But, anyways, so yeah, you can steal that from them. They can be morphed into vaccines. Vaccines are actually typically pretty difficult to come by in the game. Now, that said, though, with the W item glitch, it's really easy to duplicate them. So there is that. But anyways, all right, so moving on here. This is the Parasite. The Parasites have 2 enemy skills, level 5 death as well as magical breath. So, magical breath is another one of those abilities that's pretty tough to come by. So there's a good chance that a couple of your enemy skills or enemy skill materials are missing that skill. Same with level 5 death. I don't think that I've come across any other enemies that have level 5 death. I could be wrong on that, but they could be the ones. Now, if you noticed here, I'm not, or I haven't done any, so the parasites, I believe, can be controlled or manipulated, and so that's going to be a good way to learn that ability. But anyways, moving on to the next screen. Here we've got a little bit of a maze here to get to this treasure chest, and there's another power source for you. Again, I don't know, not that great of a get, but it is what it is. These enemies here are kind of goofy. The scissors. I think they've actually got an ability that that can one-shot you, if I remember right. Yeah. So I don't know. If you're having issues with them, I would say maybe. Gosh, what would be a good one? The enemy skill. Is it Death Force? I think it's Death Force, and that'll prevent, I believe, one-shot KOs like these guys have. I actually think it's I don't know. It's anyone's guess as to whether or not that's really worth doing. Otherwise, you can always just run from them. That's one way to get around it. Or the escape materia is always a good option. Other than that, I don't know. They're pretty easy to beat, actually. It's just they can be a little annoying. All right, so here's the Master Tonberry. Now, if you want, you can morph Master Tonberries into ribbons. So that is the only way. I shouldn't say that. It's not the only way, but it's an easier way to get to your third ribbon. Now, the other way would be, if you wanted to, you could use the W item glitch and have enemies steal from you, and that is not a good way to go about it at all, in my opinion. That it's way too tough. You know, you would have to have an enemy steal from you, and then not only that, they have to actually just steal the ribbon. The problem with that is the enemies that can steal from you can steal any, well, I shouldn't say that, almost any inventory. There's a very, very small percentage of items that they can actually steal. There's probably only like a total of 10 to 15, something like that, items that they can't steal from your inventory. So you know, if you barely have any inventory at all, then hey, not such a bad thing. But you know, at this point, we've got a lot of items. I mean, we're literally at the end of the game, so not a good way to get more ribbons. But anyways, like I said, so you can morph them. I'm trying to think of how much HP those guys have. Master Dominator, where are these guys here? Okay, so 44,444. So a lot of HP. And I don't think they can be, or I don't think you can use the sense command on them. So that makes things a little bit more challenging for morphing. So that being said, though, it's probably makes sense because the ribbon is awesome. I mean, it's the best accessory in the game, in my opinion, by far. It's not, you know, just a little bit better than the rest. It's infinitely better than the rest. So that's my stance. Now this little path here, unfortunately, I had to take this path in order to get to the treasure chest. Now, again, same deal though as earlier. If you are planning on leaving, I would almost recommend not going this way and instead just continuing on to the bottom. But again, your choice as to whether or not you want to do that. I'm not sure actually what was in this treasure chest, but this will find. Hero drink. Yeah, that was not worth the time. All right, so from this point, we'll have to go all the way back up to the top. So you'll have to take this little this trail that leads to the top again. Which again, I don't know, a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. Just a little backtracking, I guess. And it can help you out help kind of get your bearings. This area just in general can be I don't know, kind of interesting to traverse. So you know, it may be good to get a little experience in how to kind of get around these screens, and especially if you want to make multiple trips in here, which is what I did. I think, I don't know, I was probably I don't know, I probably made 10 trips or so down in here just to farm AP, and then I'd leave, you know, and I don't know, do something else, defeat, you know, Ruby Weapon or Emerald or whatever. And then I'd come back in, you know, level up more materia, and yeah, so on. Anyways, like I said, multiple trips. All right, so there's another Dark Dragon for you. You know, like I said earlier, Dragon Force and Laser, really good enemy skills. Morph them into vaccines if you need them. And then you can actually also steal the Dragon Armlet from them. Which, I don't know, again, questionable whether or not that's a really good piece of armor at this point in the game. I kind of don't feel like it is, but yeah, anyways. If that is something that you're interested in, then go right ahead and grab one of those. Or 2, or 3, or however many you want. Duplicate the crap out of them. Oh, more of these scissor turkeys. Alright, let's get out of here. Okay, there's one more cave. Yeah, here we go. Alright. So there's a Mega Elixir. So that should be the last chest for this area. And so at that point we'll be able to... we will be able to continue on to the next area. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, what do we got here? What are we doing? Ooh, enemy away. Guess I was tired of getting into so many random encounters here. So, all right, let's jump back up, and then we'll head to the right here and keep jumping down. Head into this cave. Nope, I'm going the wrong way. Into the cave, buddy. All right. Oh, what do you know? More scissors. Scissor kick. Okay. Sounds kind of cool. Alright. Next. Alright, we gotta be almost out of this area. I feel like I'm still getting into tons of battles with this, even with this enemy away materia equipped. Although this one isn't particularly leveled up much. But alright, so this is the path to the bottom. And there we go. Alright, so on to the next area here. Now, alright, so this is the splitting, or the split up point, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to know about this, and that's that basically what you're going to do here is direct your different characters on what road you want them to take. And there's actually a way to get like duplicates of some of the items and materia here. And what I mean by that is essentially what you do is you send everybody their different directions, and then you go and physically, like yourself, you run around and collect all the treasures. And then once you meet up with your characters and talk to them, at that point you will be able to get items as well. So essentially the way it works is they run around, they grab the stuff, and then you kind of go behind them and pick up essentially copies of those items. So, you know, I don't know. I'll be honest. The whole copying items thing isn't all that great. It's not all that useful. I don't know. To me, one of the things about it that I don't really like is that. So number one, if you want to duplicate your materia, that's fine and everything. Except the problem with that is the one of the materias, or actually both of the materias, start out, with 0 stars. And for some materials, that's not that big of a deal. Like something like Mega All, that's fine because it's just as effective at 1 star as it is at whatever maxed out. So there's that. There's that aspect. Now, the other thing though is not all the materia is like that, and so having 2 materias at 1 star to me isn't all that useful. I would rather only have the one and just level that one up, max it out, and then duplicate it. And the reason for that is it gets to this point late in the game where, and especially if you do any sort of AP farming, that you're going to be duplicating your materia so fast that you'll end up running out of room. And so again, I would rather just have 1 maximum level materia and 1 at 1 star, as opposed to 2 at 1 star and and going about it that way. So that's my 2 cents. Essentially what I did here was send almost everybody to the left and then I went to the right. Now, I did this actually differently in my second playthrough, but let's see here if I can. Let me see if I can just read this. So one important thing though is actually make sure that you don't send Yuffie alone on any path, because she'll just keep whatever she finds. You have to send someone else with her to keep her honest. So all right. So and I actually ended up heading to the right. I think it is there. Yeah. And I actually told Ketchi as well as Tifa to go with me. Now let me just read off here some of these. Alright, so if you want a missile, send Tifa right. Now keep in mind though, that's if Tifa's or if you don't go right. So the way this all works out is in my impression anyway, was that I'm not sure if actually let me back up. I believe the way that it works is if you want a specific item from a person, they can't be traveling with you specifically. So if you want to get a missile with Tifa, well, you're going to have to either have Cloud not go to the right, or you need to have Cloud go to the right with 2 additional people. So you would need to send a total of 4 people to the right in order for Tifa to bring back a missile. That's my impression. Hopefully I'm getting that right. I don't ever do that anyway though, because I always kind of just end up sticking her with me anyway. So that may be irrelevant. So for an extra shield materia, send a red on the left path. Yuffie gets the command counter if she's sent left, but she'll get a Mega Elixir if you send her to the right. Vincent gets a Mega Elixir, if sent to the right, but we'll get a super enemy all materia, or I think that's the Mega all materia. And then if you send Sid left, you'll get another Imperial Guard. So that's kind of the sum of the different prizes. Now, somebody like, I believe Ketchi, I don't believe he gets anything really good either way you send him. So, really up to you on what you want to do with him. Obviously, I just took him with me to the right. I wasn't worried about getting another missile, or mistle, however that's supposed to be pronounced, with Tifa, because I already had 99 of them. I duplicated them way back in the sewers, right after getting the W item materia. So I want to point one thing out here, and that is that the dragon zombie here, when you kill him, will cast Pandora's box. And the reason why that's important is because it will only cast Pandora's box once per playthrough. That's extremely important. So if you don't have your enemy skill materia equipped, like me right here, you'll want to try to escape. I'm not sure if you can actually run from these guys or not. I think so. But here I ended up, I had actually I believe all of my, oh no, I did have enemy skill materia equipped. And he does use Shadow Flare as well, so that's kind of nice. So if you haven't learned that yet, this is a good place to learn it. Again, though, Pandora's box, very important though to have all of your enemy skill materias equipped when you defeat it, because again, it will not use it again in your entire playthrough. So it doesn't matter what you do, it seemed to me anyway. Reset your game, run into them over and over and over, it doesn't matter. They will not use it again. And it's important to know that he will use it as his final attack, which is kind of interesting. But here it is, Pandora's box. So again, I'm actually going to cut the commentary here. As always, hope this guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.